Hello friends and potential friends. Decided to get out here early this morning before it gets too hot. About 10 o'clock in the morning and it's not even 80 degrees yet. Not sure what's going on. I guess we're going to get some rain today. We've been up over 90 every day for the last week and a half or so. I think today we got about 60% chance of thunder showers, so hopefully we'll get some good rain out of the deal. And it'll help keep things cool a little bit. Oh, the other day I took you on a tour of the peppers that I've been growing, and then I did another tour of the basil. I figured today I would just come out here and show you what I've got in the container portion of my garden. So let me get this set up and we'll take a little bit of a walk around the patio. Okay, let's start off with my ornamental jungle. A lot of these are not really in containers. As you can see, the spider plants are just spreading out all over everywhere. They do make a good ground cover though. Got my Florida avocado growing strong, looking good. Next to that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of my Ponderosa Lemons. That one in the big pot is going to be going out in the yard before too long. And next to the lemons we got some herbs. There's some mint and some sage and a little bit of oregano over there. And then one of my papayas that's been in that pot for most of the year. Up here on the bricks is my pride and joy. This is my no heat habanero. And I've been keeping a close eye on that particular pepper because I'm going to be saving seeds from this guy. I'm purposely keeping this plant as far away from my other peppers as I can in hopes that it doesn't get cross-pollinated. And let's see, the horseradish is still growing pretty good. Can't see it because this one cactus is trying to take over everything. Next to the horseradish is the mulberry. That's still doing pretty good, but I need to get it out into the yard before long. Same thing with the elderberry. And then down on the ground we've got, there's another few more spider plants. Got one rosemary still in a pot. A couple of lemons from last year. There's one part of my 8-year-old basil. Not doing real good, but it's still alive, so I'm keeping it going. Oh, up around the jungle, got this guy. I learned a couple months ago that's a pachypodium something or other. It's a long Latin name that I don't remember. And then down at its base is all the ginger. Ginger's growing good. I think I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 containers with ginger in it. I found the ginger grows better for me in containers than it does when I put it right in the ground. So I'm keeping that in the containers and it's doing real good. And then down on the ground is part of my staging area. These are some peppers that came out of the lab recently. They're out here hardening off before they go out into the raised beds. These are Puzajawala. It's a pepper from India. It's supposed to be a hot pepper similar to a cayenne or serrano. That's another one I've never grown before, so we'll see what happens with them. And then over here in the other part of the staging area are some more jalapenos. Got some rain last night, so a couple of them are a little bit bent over, but they'll spring back up. Then we get to the turmeric, however you want to pronounce it. Here again, I've got these planted in pots and they're growing real good. Just as a comparison, this isn't part of the containers, but over here is where I used to grow all my turmeric and ginger. And all of this turmeric is coming up. Basically, when I would harvest the turmeric or the ginger in the fall, I'd take a few pieces of it, stick it back in the ground, and let it sit in there over the winter, and then it would come up when it was ready in the spring. And that's what happens with all of this turmeric. They all came up in the spring. well behind these ones that are in the pots. I guess it took a little while longer for the soil to get warm enough for them. And over there on the other side, there is one little ginger that came up out of the ground this year. That's the only one that sprouted out of all that I planted last summer, or last fall. Over here I've got one of my fig trees that still needs to go in the ground. And then we have the pineapple plantation in amongst the weeds and all the invasive plants that keep trying to grow around here. Pineapples are doing good. I'm thinking I might plant those two small ones out in the front yard. Call them ornamentals and give them a little bit more room to grow. But I still have this one fruit coming on. Looking pretty good. Hasn't started ripening yet. It's now up about the size of a softball. So growing fairly good now. And over here we've got one blueberry. And again, that needs to go in the ground too. Did actually see a couple of berries on here yesterday, I think. Let's see if I can spot them. Oh, there's one. And mosquitoes are starting to find me, so this won't last too much longer. But luckily, let's go over here real quick. I did move the lemongrass over here. Had to get it out of the way of all the ginger and turmeric. And I put it over here, so hopefully I can remember to get in there and split it up. Need to separate that out into several pots. And one other guy I keep neglecting is this cactus over here. My friend brought it over to me probably a year ago, and I just have never done anything with it, but it's still sitting in here. And I missed a couple of ornamentals and others up here. Got one little moringa up here in a pot. I need to put that in the ground somewhere soon, but right now I'm babying it. I had it in the lab and it came down with a bad case of the spider mites, so I had to spray it with some neem oil and bring it out here, get it out of the lab. Okay, let me pause this and go check out the last container I've got. Before, I'll probably will put a little clip in here that I took the other day, just to show the effects of the high UV index and high heat that we've been getting every day. For now, I'm going to pause this and walk around to my last container. Just a quick clip that I might stick into somewhere else if I can. We topped out at 99.1 today, and that's a real temperature, not a heat index. As you can see, the peppers in particular are feeling it. A lot of the basil's suffering too. Of course, the basil's starting to run out. It can't handle the heat. Oh, speaking of heat, that's a red Marconi. It's almost completely red. And my hot peppers, yeah, they're in the shade now, but they're still kind of drooping too. Down towards this end of the bed is more shade than the other end, so these guys at the very end are not doing that bad. Although that kale down there is suffering. Still getting peppers off of these guys. Incidentally, these Caribbean orange habaneros have been giving me a lot of peppers. You see there's 4 of them on there turning right now. The reds, I'm not getting as many, but they're still producing. Tabascos have got a bunch of little ones all over them, and a few that are changing colors. And the sweet potatoes, they're flat. At least this end, you can see where the shade starts. Although the collards at the other end are suffering a bit too. They do this just about every day. And over in this bed, yeah, the basils are all going to seed, which is not bad. Pollinators love them. And the Jimmy Nardellos, they're all just kind of hanging there waiting for the sun to go down. The one that really makes me feel bad, oh, look at the avocado. Yep, it just lets his leaves hang down in the heat. And then there's my habanada, no heat habanero. I'll keep I'm going to be getting seeds out of this one. I'm keeping it as far away from the other peppers as I can, hoping it doesn't cross. But it is sure feeling the heat today. And the winner of the last container contest is the green stalk vertical planter. I still only have 4 levels on it. I've got one more level I can put on it, and I've got some datil peppers I was thinking about putting in the top level, but I had planted thyme and cumin in the top level. The cumin actually came up, but it didn't last very long. The thyme never came up. Second level down, I've got some flowers growing here, some nasturtiums in every other opening, and I had planted a few radishes in the alternate openings. There's a couple of them coming up in that one, and below them got a lot of sage. That one's fighting off bugs, it looks like. I've been picking this and drying it out. I've got quite a selection of sage in the house now to use for my cooking. And then down at the bottom level we've got mint, which is trying to take over, and every other opening has got marigolds planted in it. Check this out. I think that might be more mint. I expect the mint to be spreading out and taking over that whole bottom tray. But basically, that's the green stalk. A little bit cloudy out here today, so hopefully the lighting worked out well enough. And I keep that on my front porch because this is the part of the yard that gets the most sunlight every day. And with that, I think that about finishes up my containers, so I shall see you on the next one.